Good evening, fishies, and welcome to another story time. How was your weekend? Have you been taking care of yourself? Congratulations to Dova on being first in chat. Hello, Wood. Thank you for the kisses, Dova, and the hydrate as well. Hello, Pro Self Love. Hello, Wood. Hello, Nightcall. Hello, Baifu. Hello, Silly Tay. Hello, Besta. Welcome, 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 welcome. It is so good to see you all again. And I'm very grateful that you came back. Hi, Colton. Welcome back. Hello. Oh, my beautiful fishies. Hi, James. Welcome. Thank you all so much for being here. I have not yet been able to finish eating my dinner, so I'm doing that. It's 90 degrees here at midnight. I'm hydrating a lot. Good. Get all of that hydration, Dova. You need it. Who wants to guess what flavor of electrolytes I have in my cup right now? Bon appetit. Thank you. I'm going to try to eat this as quickly as I can. Horse electrolytes? What does that mean? What does this even mean? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? May I hear a story, or are we gonna be quiet now? I don't know what you're talking about, but we will be reading a story, yes. We are going to resume Pride and Prejudice on chapter 58. Hi, Crimson. I believe only in Monster Energy and G Fuel. Well, I can't have either, so more for you. Electrolytes for horses? No, I'm not consuming electrolytes for horses. Milo, welcome back. I'm on my 5th black tea. Be careful, alright? That's got caffeine in it. I assume no one's gonna guess the flavor I have then. I may have put some rum in one. Sorry, I'm really trying to eat as fast as I can. Banana flavor? Are you crazy? My only guess? I don't even know what that is. What is this? What is that? What is that? Where is... Okay, refresh that. I'm in this. Can someone type the word puzzle? Well, that was Discord. Close enough. Yes, Pro Self Love, I saw your picture of the orange watermelon. I reacted to it. Oh, it sounds so good. Calypso Punch Lemonade? Oh? It's what? I know it. Dijon mustard. No. No, it's not. So dose the 9 months. Jesus Christ. Where's Stream at? So Stream is on Twitch, TikTok, YouTube, Kick, and not Instagram. We stopped doing that a little while ago. Because nobody was joining on Instagram. Oh my gosh. Wait, TikTok chat showed up on the TV. Nice reacts, Harukin and Steph. Oh.
Wow.
Nightcall, you're correct. It is grape flavor. Wow. I'm almost done with my soup. Please, just hold on. I will be your 19th century baddie. Just let me eat my soup. What kind of soup? It's Mama's lentil soup. My mama made it. It's very good. Hi, Francis. Hi, Jackson. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Jessica. Welcome. My phone, it vibrated. What happened? Is it soap flavor? It's lentil flavor! And it's delicious. 10th monster, I'm gonna ask you very kindly to put the monster down. You guys love torturing me. I'm at Walmart right now. I'll be back. I'll be counting the minutes. That's not soup flavor. What do you mean? Not soup flavor. Are you indeed all right? That's like a lot of anything. Are you okay? How many brain cells am I holding up? Slurping noises? Last stream, people called me out for my gulp. In between, hey, do I call you my DG? Is that what I call you? Because I can't read Korean, and I assume those are Korean characters. But your Twitch name says my DG. If it's not soup flavor, it's not soup. 32 brain cells. Might call, that's how many you've got left. Yeah, in between reading last stream, I like paused to take a drink of water and then proceeded to just loudly gulp in everyone's ears, and I'm so sorry. Moyo dongom. Well, hello. Moyo dongom. Nice to meet you. Buying clothes, please tell me you get the reference. I don't. I am so confused. There's so many things happening all at once right now. And I apologize if I don't remember how to say your name, but please do remind me if I forget again. Hi, young waffle. Who's a good waffle? Who's a good waffle? You're a good waffle. How was my good waffle today? How have you been? I'll put down the monster for the rest of the month. Honestly, a win is a win. A win is a win. Hi, Pro Self Love. Oh wait, where's my hands? Hold on. I gotta get my hands. I also have to move TikTok chat. Do you see what it's like to be a streamer? I don't know what's going on. How do you guys know what's going on? Okay, here we go. We're good. We're great. I'm good. How many chapters? We're picking up on 58. What was I doing? Oh, my hands. Where's my hands? The weather is reflecting my mood. Is the weather bright and beautiful like you? Where's my hands? Where's my hands? I lost control of my hands. Found one. Sorry, I had to go a little screamo there. It's hard, so much stuff. Yes. Is it thunderstorming yet? It looked like it was gonna storm earlier. It's a clear sky and surprisingly star-filled night. That sounds really nice. live feed of my last brain cells fighting over a chip. Oh, and let's see what the current state of the puzzle. Okay, we still have the puzzle going on. So if you guys want puzzle, then exclamation point puzzle and puzzle, right? Puzzle. No other word, just puzzle. Hey, welcome in. Thank you so much to TikTok chat for being here. Me want puzzle, exclamation point puzzle. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Your dreams will come true. All you gotta do. Puzzle. Where do I pay to see that? Puzzle? You don't have to pay for a puzzle. Did I say something else? If you're talking, we can't hear you. You're cute. Cute in a not cute way. But that's cute of you. To try. I know chat can hear me. I'm not gonna dole out the insults today. I just really don't feel like it. What was I gonna do? I was gonna do something. What was I gonna do? You sound far away. Maybe take the phone out of your ass. That might help. Apparently, that is not the best way to listen to music. No, the 2 brain cells over a chip. Ah. You know, if we had the technology to, like, see into somebody's brain. Oh, you were going to soup. Oh, I finished the soup. You have ADHD? Me? Oh, I remember what I was gonna do. I was going to check the state of our community channel point challenge. If you guys have... I'm sorry, I'm being really loud. If you guys have channel points that you would like to contribute to the channel point challenge, we have only a handful of days until my birthday. I have not yet determined when we're going to do the birthday marathon. However, if we reach the ASMR challenge goal, I will do traditional ASMR on stream. Now, I don't have a 3DO. Hi bots. I don't have a 3DO, but I do have a Yeti. Dova, thank you for contributing channel points, and Kintron, and Waffle, and Jedi, and Ace. Floorhead kisses to you all as well. Thank you so much for contributing your channel points. But I have a blue Yeti. Nova, thank you. I have a blue Yeti that has the 360, the binaural audio, that I can do the ASMR. So not only can I whisper in your ear, but then I can do other things, you know? I can, like, I don't know, tap on the microphone. You are in the top 5 most watched channels I watch? Really? I'm honored to be in your top 5. That's pretty cool. That makes me special, right? I see what happened. Okay. Hi, Panini. Hi, Voodoo. Will that be on YouTube, or just in case I miss it? Yes, it will be. So anytime that I go live is on multiple platforms. So if you're curious about any of my previous VODs, you can check them out on YouTube. Actually, now that I mention it, you're the top one in my follow channel. What? Just because everyone I watch is offline by now, I'll take a win where a win is. I watch all the time at work. She gets me by. Aww. One thing that I wanted to mention to chat, and again, I don't expect anyone to actually do this, but it would be super duper awesome and helpful if maybe you went through some of my old YouTube VODs, as in 8-9 months ago, between then and now. If you could take clips on YouTube, because you can take clips on YouTube, if you could clip moments from those older VODs, because I'd really like to have some clippable things that I can share on social media of me reading various different books. People are very interested in some of the stories that I read, but they also like the vibes, or they like the fishies in the background, or they like the silly moments that we have on stream. So if you guys ever go through some of those older VODs, again, I don't expect anybody to actually do that, but it would be super, super helpful. I don't have a whole lot of time to go through those. And when I'm at work, I can't. Hi, Zoe. When I'm at work, I can't listen to all of the VODs. I don't think I can listen to any of the live streams, actually, because we have a firewall. You can't get through that. I like your voice, very soothing. Thank you, Benini. Thank you. It would be so awesome. It would be cool. It would. VPN, it's a work firewall. There are things that I can't do about that. Hi. Oh, you said not to call you Khalil, right? You said Callie? What was the other nickname you told me? I forgot. I'm just so used to being like, hi, Khalil. Okay, I can still call you Khalil. I like it. I like saying the full name. Oh, but I'm getting distracted. So, chat. Hi, welcome on TikTok. Welcome. Chat. Are you ready for story time? Put a 1 in chat if you're ready to listen to me read. Did you come at a perfect time? You did. We're gonna start reading soon. Waffle is ready. Dova is ready. Best of is ready. Everything left is ready. I still like saying hi, Khalil. I'll remember that. Good. Benini's ready. Oh, no worries, me though. Puzzle is done? Oh, wow, that was fast. Thank you for letting me know. The next puzzle is up. I will pin that. And do we have any mods in chat right now? I'm just trying to take inventory in case something happens. Mama me little, absolutely. Your username is just a bunch of blossoms. Can I call you Blossom? Khalil is ready. Baifu is ready. Everyone's ready for story time. Oh, that makes me so happy. Mod check? It's okay. we can run this show, right? You guys can all put your mod hats on in case we get some meanie pants around here. If we get like a really unfriendly fishy, you guys can all bop them on the head, right? We're all part of the community. We're all mods here. All right. Let's read. I'm so mod, I got you. Okay. Let me go ahead and do this. And let's start with lights off. Chapter 58. Instead of receiving any such letter of excuse from his friend, as Elizabeth half expected Mr. Bingley to do, he was able to bring Darcy with him to Longbourn before many days had passed after Lady Catherine's visit. The gentleman arrived early, and before Mrs. Bennet had time to tell him of their having seen his aunt, of which her daughter sat in momentary dread, Bingley, who wanted to be alone with Jane, proposed their all walking out. It was agreed to. Mrs. Bennet was not in the habit of walking. Mary could never spare time, but the remaining 5 set off together. Bingley and Jane, however, soon allowed the others to outstrip them. They lagged behind, while Elizabeth, Kitty, and Darcy were to entertain each other. Very little was said by either. Kitty was too much afraid of him to talk. Elizabeth was secretly forming a desperate resolution, and perhaps he might be doing the same. They walked towards Lucas's because Kitty wished to call upon Maria, and as Elizabeth saw no occasion for making it a general concern, when Kitty left them, she went boldly on with him, alone. Now was the moment for resolution to be executed, and, while her courage was high, she immediately said, "Mr. Darcy, I am a very selfish creature, and, for the sake of giving relief to my own feelings, care not how much I may be wounding yours. I can no longer help thanking you for your unexampled kindness to my poor sister. Ever since I have known it, I have been most anxious to acknowledge to you how gratefully I felt it. Were it known to the rest of my family, I should not have merely my own gratitude to express." "I'm sorry, exceedingly sorry," replied Darcy, in a tone of surprise and emotion, "that you have ever been informed of what may, in a mistaken light, have given you uneasiness. I did not think Mrs. Gardiner were so little to be trusted." "You must not blame my aunt. Lydia's thoughtlessness first betrayed to me that you had been concerned in the matter. And, of course, I could not rest till I knew the particulars. Let me thank you again and again, in the name of all my family, for that generous compassion which induced you to take so much trouble, and bear so many mortifications, for the sake of discovering them."
"If you will thank me,"
he replied,
let it be for yourself alone, that the wish of giving happiness to you might add force to the other inducements which led me on. I shall not attempt to deny that your family owe me nothing. Much as I respect them, I believe I thought only of you.
Elizabeth was too much embarrassed to say a word. After a short pause, her companion added,
You are too generous to trifle with me. If your feelings are still what they were last April, tell me so at once. My affections and wishes are unchanged, but one word from you will silence me on the subject forever.
Elizabeth, feeling all the more than common awkwardness and anxiety of his situation, now forced herself to speak, and immediately, though not very fluent, gave him to understand that her sentiments had undergone so material a change since the period to which he alluded, as to make her receive with gratitude and pleasure his present assurances. The happiness which this reply produced was such as he had probably never felt before, and he expressed himself on the occasion as sensibly and as warmly as a man violently in love can be supposed to do. Had Elizabeth been able to encounter his eye, she might have seen how well the expression of heartfelt delight diffused over his face became him. But though she could not look, she could listen, and he told her of feelings which, in proving of what importance she was to him, made his affection every moment more valuable. They walked on, without knowing in what direction. There was too much to be thought and felt and said for attention to any other objects. She soon learnt that they were indebted for their present good understanding to the efforts of his aunt, who did call on him in her return through London, and there relate her journey to Longbourn, its motive, and the substance of her conversation with Elizabeth. Dwelling empathetically on every expression of the latter which, in her ladyship's apprehension, peculiarly denoted her perverseness and assurance, in that belief that such a relation must assist her endeavours to obtain that promise from her nephew which she had refused to give. But unluckily for her ladyship, its effect had been exactly contrariwise.
It taught me to hope, he said, as I had scarcely ever allowed myself to hope before. I knew enough of your disposition to be certain that, had you been absolutely irrevocably decided against me, you would have acknowledged it to Lady Catherine, frankly and openly.
Elizabeth coloured and laughed as she replied, Yes. You know of my frankness to believe me capable of that. After abusing you so abominably to your face, I could have no scruple in abusing you to all your relations.
What did you say of me that I did not deserve? For, though your accusations were ill-formed, ill-founded, formed on mistaken premises, my behavior to you at the time had merited the severest reproof. It was unpardonable, I cannot think of it without abhorrence.
We will not quarrel for the greater share of blame annexed to the evening, said Elizabeth. The conduct of neither, if strictly examined, will be irreproachable. But since then, we have both, I hope, improved in civility.
I cannot be so easily reconciled myself. The recollection of what I said then, of my conduct, my manners, my expressions during the whole of it is now, and has been many months, inexpressibly painful to me. Your reproof, so well applied, I shall never forget. Had you behaved in a more gentlemanlike manner, those were your words. You know not, you can scarcely conceive how they have tortured me, though it was some time, I confessed, before I was reasonable enough to allow their justice.
I was certainly very far from expecting them to take so strong an impression. I had not the smallest idea of their being ever felt in such a way.
I can easily believe that. You thought me then devoid of every proper feeling, I'm sure you did. The turn of your countenance I shall never forget, as you said that I could not have addressed you in any possible way that would induce you to accept me.
Oh, do not repeat what I then said. These recollections will not do at all. I assure you that I have long been most heartily ashamed of it.
Darcy mentioned his letter. Did it, said he, did it soon make you think better of me? Did you, on reading it, give any credit to its contents?
She explained what its effect on her had been, and how gradually all her former prejudices had been removed.
I knew, said he, that what I wrote must give you pain, but it was necessary. I hope you have destroyed the letter. There was one part especially, the opening of it, which I should dread your having the power of reading again. I can remember some expressions which might justly make you hate me.
The letter shall certainly be burnt if you believe it essential to the preservation of my regard. But though we have both reason to think my opinions not entirely unalterable, they are not, I hope, quite so easily changed as that implies.
When I wrote that letter,
replied Darcy,
I believed myself perfectly calm and cool, but I am since convinced that it was written in a dreadful bitterness of spirit.
The letter perhaps began in bitterness, but it did not end so. The adieu is charity itself. But think no more of the letter. The feelings of the person who wrote and the person who received it are now so widely different from what they were then, that every unpleasant circumstance attending it ought to be forgotten. You must learn some of my philosophy. Think only of the past as its remembrance gives you pleasure.
I cannot give you credit for any philosophy of the kind. Your retrospections must be so totally void of reproach that the contentment arising from them is not of philosophy, but what is much better, of innocence. But with me it is not so. Painful recollections will intrude which ought not to, be repelled I've been a selfish being all my life, in practice, though not in principle. As a child, I was taught what was right, but I was not taught to correct my temper. I was given good principle, but left to follow them in pride and conceit. Unfortunately, and only son, for many years an only child, I was spoilt by my parents, who, though good themselves, my father particularly, all that was benevolent and amiable, allowed, encouraged, almost taught me to be selfish and overbearing, to care for none beyond my own family circle, to think meanly of all the rest of the world, to wish, at least, to think meanly of their sense and worth compared with my own. Such I was, from 8 to 28, and such I might still have been, but for you, dearest, loveliest Elizabeth. What do I not owe you? You taught me a lesson, hard indeed at first, but most advantageous. By you I was properly humbled. I came to you without a doubt of my reception. You showed me how insufficient were all my pretensions to please a woman worthy of being pleased.
Had you then persuaded yourself that I should?
Indeed I had. What will you think of my vanity? I believed you to be wishing, expecting my address.
My manners must have been in fault, but not intentionally, I assure you. I never meant to deceive you, but my spirits might often lead me wrong. How you must have hated me after that evening.
Hate you? Hate you? I was angry at first, perhaps, but my anger soon began to take a proper direction.
I'm almost afraid of asking what you thought of me when we met at Pemberley. You blamed me for coming?
No, indeed. I felt nothing but surprise.
Your surprise could not have been greater than mine in being noticed by you. My conscience told me that I deserved no extraordinary politeness, and I confess that I did not expect to receive more than my due.
My object, then, replied Darcy, was to show you, by every civility in my power, that I was not so mean as to resent the past. And I hoped to obtain your forgiveness, to lessen your ill opinion, by letting you see that your reproofs had been attended to. How soon any other wishes introduce themselves I can hardly tell, but I believe in about half an hour after I had seen you.
Apologies, we're starting the next puzzle. And Dova, yes, you are hearing thunder on my side. It is thundering above me right now. Alright, next puzzle is started. If anybody on TikTok would like to join the puzzle, check out the link in my profile. He then told her of Georgiana's delight in her acquaintance, and of her disappointment at its sudden interruption, which naturally leading to the cause of that interruption, she soon learnt that his resolution of following her from Derbyshire in quest of her sister had been formed before he quitted the inn, and that his gravity and thoughtfulness there had arisen from no other struggles than what such a purpose must comprehend. She expressed her gratitude again, but it was too painful a subject to each to be dwelt on further. After walking several miles in a leisurely manner, and too busy to know anything about it, they found at last, on examining their watches, that it was time to be at home. What could become of Mr. Bingley and Jane was a wonder which introduced the discussion of their affairs. Darcy was delighted with their engagement. His friend had given him the earliest information of it. "I must ask whether you were surprised?" said Elizabeth.
Not at all. When I went away, I felt that it would soon happen.
That is to say, you had given your permission. I guessed as much.
And though,
he exclaimed at the term, she found that it had been pretty much the case.
On the evening before my going to London,
said he,
I made a confession to him, which I believe I ought to have made long ago. I told him of all that had occurred to make my former interference in his affairs absurd and impertinent. His surprise was great. He had never had the slightest suspicion. I told him, moreover, that I believed myself mistaken in supposing, as I had done, that your sister was indifferent to him, and as I could easily perceive that his attachment to her was unabated. I felt no doubt of their happiness together.
Elizabeth could not help smiling at his easy manner of directing his friend. "Did you speak for your own observation?" said she. "When you told him that my sister loved him, or merely from my information last spring?"
From the former. I had narrowly observed her during the 2 visits which I had lately made here, and I was convinced of her affection.
And your assurance of it, I suppose, carried immediate conviction to him?
It did. Bingley is most unaffectedly modest. His diffidence had prevented his depending on his own judgment in so anxious a case, but his reliance on mine made everything easy. I was obliged to confess one thing which for a time, and not unjustly, offended him. I could not allow myself to conceal that your sister had been in town 3 months last winter, that I had known it, and purposely kept it from him. He was angry, but his anger, I am persuaded, lasted no longer than he remained in any doubt of your sister's sentiments. He has heartily forgiven me now.
Elizabeth longed to observe that Mr. Bingley had been a most delightful friend, so easily guided that his worth was invaluable. But she checked herself. She remembered that he had yet to learn to be laughed at, and it was rather too early to begin. In anticipating the happiness of Bingley, which of course was to be inferior only to his own, he continued the conversation till they reached the house. In the hall, they parted. Chapter 59. My dear Lizzie, where could you have been walking to? Was a question which Elizabeth received from Jane as soon as she entered their room, and from all the others when they sat down to table. She had only to say in reply that they had wandered about, till she was beyond her own knowledge. She coloured as she spoke, but neither that nor anything else awakened a suspicion of the truth. The evening passed quietly, unmarked by anything extraordinary. The acknowledged lovers talked and laughed. The unacknowledged were silent. Darcy was not of a disposition in which happiness overflows in mirth, and Elizabeth, agitated and confused, rather knew that she was happy than felt herself to be so. For, besides the immediate embarrassment, there were other evils before her. She anticipated what would be felt in the family when her situation became known. She was aware that no one liked him but Jane, and even feared that with the others it was a dislike which not all his fortune and consequence might do away. At night, she opened her heart to Jane. Though suspicion was very far from Miss Bennet's general habits, she was absolutely incredulous here. You are joking, Lizzie. This cannot be. Engaged to Mr. Darcy. No, you shall not deceive me. I know it to be impossible. This is a wretched beginning indeed. My sole dependence was on you, and I am sure nobody else will believe me if you do not. Yet, indeed, I am earnest. I speak nothing but the truth. He still loves me, and we are engaged. Jane looked at her doubtingly. Oh, Lizzie, it cannot be. I know how much you dislike him. You know nothing of the matter. That is all to be forgot. Perhaps I did not always love him as well as I do now. But in such cases as these, a good memory is unpardonable. This is the last time I shall ever remember it myself. Miss Bennet still looked all amazement. Elizabeth again and more seriously assured her of its truth. Good heaven, can it really be so? Yet now I must believe you, cried Jane. My dear Lizzie, I do congratulate you. But are you certain? Forgive the question. Are you quite certain that you can be happy with him? There can be no doubt of that. It is settled between us already that we are to be the happiest couple in the world. But are you pleased, Jane? Shall you like to have such a brother? Very, very much. Nothing could give either Bingley or myself more delight, but we considered it. We talked of it as impossible. And do you really love him quite well enough? Oh, Lizzie, do anything rather than marry without affection. Are you quite sure that you feel what you ought to do? Oh, yes. You will only think I feel more than I ought to do when I tell you all. What do you mean? Why, I must confess that I love him better than I do Bingley. I'm afraid you would be angry. My dear sister, now be serious. I want to talk very seriously. Let me know everything I am to know without delay. Will you tell me how long you have been in love with him? has been coming on so gradually that I hardly know when it began. But I must believe I must date it from my first seeing his beautiful grounds at Pemberley. Another entreaty, and she should be serious, however, produced the desired effect, and she soon satisfied Jane by her solemn reassurances of attachment. When convinced on that article, Miss Bennet had nothing further to wish.
"Now I am quite happy," said she, "for you will be as happy as myself. I always had value for him, were it for nothing but his love of you. I must always have esteemed him, but now as Bingley's friend and your husband, there can be only Bingley and yourself more dear to me. But Lizzie, you have a very sly, very reserved with me. You have been very sly and very reserved with me. How little did you tell me of what passed at Pemberley and Lambton? I owe all that I know of it to another, not to you." Elizabeth told her the motives of her secrecy. She had been unwilling to mention Bingley, and the unsettled state of her own feelings had made her equally avoid the name of his friend. But now she would no longer conceal from her his share in Lydia's marriage. All was acknowledged, and half the night spent in conversation. "Good gracious!" cried Mrs. Bennet as she stood at the window the next morning. "If that disagreeable Mr. Darcy is not coming here again with our dear Bingley, what can he mean by so tiresome as to always be coming here? I had no notion but he would go shooting, or something other, and not disturb us with his company. What shall we do with him? Lizzie, you must walk out with him again, that he may not be in Bingley's way." Elizabeth could hardly help laughing at so conventional a proposal, yet was really vexed that her mother should always be giving him such an epithet. As soon as they entered, Bingley looked at her so expressively and shook hands with such warmth as left no doubt of his good information. And soon afterwards, he said aloud, "Mrs. Bennet, have you no more lanes hereabouts in which Lizzie may lose her way again today?" "I advise Mr. Darcy and Lizzie and Kitty," said Mrs. Bennet, "to walk to Oakham Mount this morning. It is a long, nice walk, and Mr. Darcy has never seen the view." "It may very well do for the others," replied Bingley, "but I am sure it will be too much for Kitty. Won't it, Kitty?" Kitty owned that she would rather stay at home. Darcy professed a great curiosity to see the view from the mount, and Elizabeth silently consented as she went up the stairs to get ready. Mrs. Bennet followed her, saying, "I'm quite sorry, Lizzie, that you should be forced to have to deal with that disagreeable man all to yourself. But I hope you will not mind it. It is all for Jane's sake, you know, and there is no occasion for talking to him except just now and then. So don't put yourself to inconvenience." During their walk, it was resolved that Mr. Bennet's consent should be asked in the course of the evening. Elizabeth reserved to herself the application for her mother's. She could not determine how her mother would take it, sometimes doubting whether all his wealth and grandeur would be enough to overcome her abhorrence of the man. But whether she were violently set against the match, or violently delighted with it,
It was certain that her manner would be equally ill-adapted to do credit to her sense. And she could no more bear that Mr. Darcy should hear the first raptures of her joy than the first vehemence of her disapprobation. In the evening, soon after Mr. Bennet withdrew to the library, she saw Mr. Darcy rise also and follow him, and her agitation on seeing it was extreme. She did not fear her father's opposition, but he was going to be made unhappy, and that it should be through her means that she, his favourite child, should be distressing him by her choice, should be filling him with fears and regrets in disposing of her, was a wretched reflection. And she sat in misery till Mr. Darcy appeared again, when, looking at him, she was a little relieved by his smile. In a few minutes, he approached the table where she was sitting with Kitty, and while pretending to admire her work, said in a whisper, "Go to your father. He wants you in the library." She was gone directly. Her father was walking about the room, looking grave and anxious.
"Lizzie,"
said he,
"what are you doing? Are you out of your senses to be accepting this man? Have you not always hated him?"
How earnestly did she then wish that her former opinions had been more reasonable, her expressions more moderate. It would have spared her from explanations and professions, which it was exceedingly awkward to give. But they were now necessary, and she assured him, with some confusion, of her attachment to Mr. Darcy.
Or, in other words, you are determined to have him. He is rich, to be sure, and you may have more fine clothes and a fine carriage than Jane. But will they make you happy?
"Have you any other objection?" said Elizabeth. "Than your belief of my indifference?"
"None at all. We all know him to be a proud, unpleasant sort of man. But this would be nothing if you really like him."
I do like him," she replied, with tears in her eyes. "I love him. Indeed, he has no improper pride. He is perfectly amiable. You do not know what he really is, then pray do not pain me by speaking of him in such terms."
"Lizzie," said her father, "I have given him my consent. He is the kind of man, indeed, to whom I should never dare refuse anything which he condescended to ask. I now give it to you, if you are resolved on having him. But let me advise you to think better of it. I know your disposition, Lizzie. I know that you could be neither happy nor respectable unless you truly esteemed your husband, unless you looked up to him as a superior. Your lively talents would place you in the greatest danger in an unequal marriage. You could scarcely escape discredit and misery. My child, let me not have the grief of seeing you unable to respect your partner in life. You know what you are about."
Elizabeth, still more affected, was earnest and solemn in her reply, and at length repeated assurances that Mr. Darcy was really the object of her choice, by explaining the gradual change which her estimation of him had undergone, relating her absolute certainty that his affection was not the work of a day, but had stood the test of many months' suspense, and enumerating with energy all his good qualities, she did conquer her father's incredulity and reconcile him to the match.
"Well, my dear,"
said he when she ceased speaking,
"I have no more to say. If this be the case, he deserves you. I could not have parted with you, my Lizzie, to anyone less worthy."
To complete the favourable impression, she then told him what Mr. Darcy had voluntarily done for Lydia. He heard her with astonishment.
"This is an evening of wonders indeed. And so, Darcy did everything, made up the match, gave the money, paid the fellow's debts, and got him his commission. So much the better. It will save me a world of trouble and economy. Had it been your uncle's doing, I must and would have repaid him. But these violent young lovers carry everything their own way. I shall offer to pay him tomorrow. He will rant and storm about his love for you, and there will be the end of the matter."
He then recollected her embarrassment a few days before, on his reading Mr. Collins's letter, and after laughing at her some time, allowed her at last to go, saying as she quitted the room,
"If any young men come for Mary or Kitty, send them in, for I'm quite at leisure."
Tranquilly away. There was no longer anything material to be dreaded, and the comfort of ease and familiarity would come in time. When her mother went up to her dressing room at night, she followed her and made the important communication. Its effect was most extraordinary, for on first hearing it, Mrs. Bennet sat quite still and unable to utter a syllable. Nor was it under many, many minutes that she could comprehend what she heard, though not in general backward to the credit what was for the advantage of her family, or that came in the shape of a lover to any of them. She began at length to recover, to fidget about in her chair, get up, sit down again, wonder, and bless herself. Good gracious! Lord bless me! Only think! Dear me! Mr. Darcy! Who would have thought it? And is it really true? Oh, my sweetest Lizzie! How rich and how great you will be! What pin money, what jewels, what carriages you will have! Jane's is nothing to it. Nothing at all. I am so pleased, so happy. Such a charming man, so handsome, so tall. Oh, my dear Lizzie, pray apologize for my having disliked him so much before. I hoped he will overlook it. Dear, dear Lizzie, a house in town, everything that is charming, 3 daughters married, 10,000 a year. Oh, Lord, what will become of me? I shall go distracted. This was enough to prove that her approbation need not be doubted, and Elizabeth, rejoicing that such an effusion was heard only by herself, soon went away. But before she had been 3 minutes in her own room, her mother followed her. "My dearest child," she cried, "I can think of nothing else. 10,000 a year, and very likely more. 'Tis as good as a lord, and a special license. You must and shall be married by a special license. But my dearest love, tell me what dish Mr. Darcy is particularly fond of, that I may have it tomorrow." This was a sad omen of what her mother's behavior to the gentleman himself might be, and Elizabeth found that, though in the certain possession of his warmest affection, and secure of her relations' consent, there was still something to be wished for. But the morrow passed off much better than she expected, for Mrs. Bennet luckily stood such awe of her intended son-in-law that she ventured not to speak to him, unless it was in her power to offer him any attention, or mark her deference for his opinion. Elizabeth had the satisfaction of seeing her father taking pains to get acquainted with him, and Mr. Bennet soon assured her that he was rising every hour in his esteem.
"I admire all my 3 son-in-laws highly," said he. "Wickham's, perhaps, is my favourite, but I think I shall like your husband quite as well as Jane's."
Chapter 60. Elizabeth's spirits soon rising to playfulness again, she wanted Mr. Darcy to account for his having ever fallen in love with her. "How could you begin?" said she. "I can comprehend your going on charmingly, when you had once made a beginning. But what could set you off in the first place?"
"I cannot fix on the hour, or the spot, or the look, or the words, which laid the foundation. It is too long ago. I was in the middle before I knew that I had begun."
"My beauty you had early withstood, and as for my manners, my behavior to you was at least always bordering on the uncivil, and I never spoke to you without rather wishing to give you pain than not. Now be sincere. Did you admire me for my impertinence?"
"For the liveliness of your mind, I did."
"You may as well call it impertinence at once. It was very little less. The fact is that you were sick of civility, of deference, of officious attention. You were disgusted with the women who were always speaking and looking and thinking of your approbation alone. I roused and interested you because I was so unlike them. Had you not been really amiable, you would have hated me for it. But in spite of the pains you took to disguise yourself, your feelings were always noble and just. And in your heart, you thoroughly despised the persons who so assiduously courted you. There, I've saved you the trouble of accounting for it. And really, all things considered, I believe to think it perfectly reasonable. To be sure, you knew no actual good of me, but nobody thinks of that when they fall in love.
Was there no good in your affectionate behavior to Jane while she was ill at Netherfield?
Dearest Jane, who could have done less for her? But make a virtue of it by all means. My good qualities are under your protection, and you are to exaggerate them as much as possible. And in return, it belongs to me to find occasions for teasing and quarreling with you as often as may be. And I shall directly begin by asking you what made you so unwilling to come to the point at last. What made you so shy of me when you first called and afterwards dined here? Why, especially, when you called, did you look as if you did not care about me?
Because you were grave and silent, and gave me no encouragement.
But I was embarrassed.
And so was I.
You might have talked to me more when you came to dinner.
A man who felt less might.
How unlucky that you should have a reasonable answer to give, and that I should be so responsible as to admit it. But I wonder how long you would have gone on if you had been left to yourself. I wonder when you would have spoken if I had not asked you. My resolution of thanking you for your kindness to Lydia had certainly great effect. Too much, I'm afraid, for what becomes of the moral if our comfort springs from a breach of promise? For I ought not to have mentioned the subject. This will never do.
You need not distress yourself. The moral will be perfectly fair. Lady Catherine's unjustifiable endeavours to separate us were the means of removing all my doubts. I am not indebted for my present happiness to your eager desire of expressing your gratitude. I was not in a humour to wait for any opening of yours. My aunt's intelligence had given me hope, and I was determined at once to know everything.
Lady Catherine has been of infinite use, which ought to make her happy, for she loves to be of use. But tell me, what did you come down to Netherfield for? Was it merely to ride to Longbourn and be embarrassed? Or had you intended any more serious consequence?
My real purpose was to see you, and to judge, if I could, whether I might ever hope to make you love me. My real purpose was to see you, and to judge, if I could, whether I might ever hope to make you love me. My avowed one, or what I avowed to myself, was to see whether your sister was still partial to Bingley, and if she were, to make the confession to him which I have since made.
Shall you ever have courage to announce to Lady Catherine what is to befall her?
I'm more likely to want more time than courage, Elizabeth. But it ought to be done, and if you will give me a sheet of paper, it shall be done directly.
And if I had not a letter to write myself, I might sit by you and admire the evenness of your writing, as another young lady once did. But I have an aunt too, who must not be longer neglected. from an unwillingness to confess how much her intimacy with Mr. Darcy had been overrated. Elizabeth had never yet answered Mrs. Gardiner's long letter, but now, having that to communicate which she knew would be most welcome, she was almost ashamed to find that her uncle and aunt had already lost 3 days of happiness, and immediately wrote as follows. I would have thanked you before, my dear aunt, as I ought to have done, for your long, kind, satisfactory detail of particulars. But to say the truth, I was too cross to write. You supposed more than really existed, but now suppose as much as you choose. Give a loose rein to your fancy. Indulge your imagination in every possible flight which the subject will afford, and unless you believe me actually married, you cannot greatly err. You must write again very soon, and praise him a great deal more than you did your last. I thank you, again and again, for not going to the lakes. How could I be so silly as to wish it? Your idea of the ponies is delightful. We will go round the park every day. I am the happiest creature in the world. Perhaps other people have said so before, but not one with such justice. I am happier even than Jane. She is only smiles. I laugh. Mr. Darcy sends you all the love in the world that he can spare. Mr. Darcy sends you all the love in the world that he can spare from me. You are all to come to Pemberley at Christmas. Yours, etc. Mr. Darcy's letter to Lady Catherine was in a different style, and still different from either what was Mr. Bennet sent to Mr. Collins in reply to his last. Dear Sir, I must trouble you once more for congratulations. Elizabeth will soon be the wife of Mr. Darcy. Console Lady Catherine as well as you can, but if I were you, I would stand by the nephew. He has more to give. Yours, sincerely, etc. Miss Bingley's congratulations to her brother on his approaching marriage were all that was affectionate and insincere. She wrote even to Jane on the occasion to express her delight and repeat all her former professions of regard. Jane was not deceived, but she was affected, and though feeling no reliance on her, could not help writing her a much kinder answer than she knew she was deserved. The joy which Miss Darcy expressed on receiving similar information was as sincere as her brother's sending in. 4 sides of paper were insufficient to contain all her delight and all her earnest desire of being loved by her sister. Before any answer could arrive from Mr. Collins, or any congratulations to Elizabeth from his wife, the Longbourn family heard that the Collinses were come themselves to Lucas Lodge. The reason of this sudden removal was soon evident. Lady Catherine had been rendered so exceedingly angry by the contents of her nephew's letter that Charlotte, really rejoicing in the match, was anxious to get away till the storm was blown over. At such a moment, The arrival of her friend was a sincere pleasure to Elizabeth, though in the course of their meetings she must sometimes think the pleasure dearly bought when she saw Mr. Darcy exposed to all the parading and obsequious civility of her husband. He bore it, however, with admirable calmness. We have to pause because we have a raid. Moonlight Faye, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. Hello. Hi. Moonlight Faye's crew sails in on a sea of stars, joining in with hugs and warm mugs. I love that raid message. That is so cute. Do we happen to have a mod in chat that is able to give a shout out for Moonlight? Do I call you Moonlight or Faye? Which do you prefer? Look at all these beautiful stars. But I will say, when you're here, you're a fishy. Faye is fine. Hi. Thank you so much for the raid. Thank you so much for sharing your community with me. Let me go ahead and get a shout out for you. I have to do this with an accessibility keyboard because I'm in a closet. Ignore that. Oh yeah, when you're here, you're a fishy, as you can see by all the fishies in the background. If you shared a raid message, congratulations, you have a fishy. And if you send another message in chat, your fishy will actually teleport. But hello, Faye, do you do ASMR? Oh, if you're on TikTok, you don't get a fishy? Fishies are only available for YouTube live viewers and Twitch viewers. So if you're on TikTok and you'd like to get a fishy, jump on over. But I hope you all had an amazing time with Faye today. And I'm incredibly grateful that you joined in for the raid. I understand if you have to run, but I do encourage you to stay. We are trying to reach Twitch partner, and so every person that sticks around is a huge help to the effort. So even if you lurk and you have to go do something else, I totally get it. Please take care of yourself as well, Faye. Get your water, get some food. If you need to step away and stretch and relax, you take care of you. But if anybody's headed off to sleep, or maybe you're already asleep, stay asleep, and I'll continue to read to you. We are at the end of Pride and Prejudice. So, if Pescados, sí, pescados. So, if you haven't heard Pride and Prejudice before, like me, I'm new to it. I absolutely love this story. It is beautiful. This is my first time ever reading it. It is lovely. Put the fries in the bag. I don't have fries. I have fish. But I digress. Oh, excuse me. Big gulp. Around here, we call this Sanctuary. This is Sanctuary. I'm Steph. I read books and stories on stream. And if I can think straight, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm really trying to use my brain. There are a couple of different commands for you to know. Exclamation point lights will turn on and off the lights. Exclamation point head pats will give me a head pat. Exclamation point PP will tell you where we are in the partner push. And it's also an excuse to laugh like a child. If you exclamation point cam, you will... Thank you, Dova. I love you too. If you exclamation point cam, C-A-M, you'll move the camera back and forth. And if at any point someone subscribes, it throws fish at me. Or if you give bits, it throws bits at me. And if you hear thunder, that's because it's raining outside for me. But stale bread.
Stop it. Get some help.
Stale bread, welcome. Thank you for being here. Pronation, welcome. Thank you. Undead Unicorns, love the username. Welcome. And thank you all so much for joining. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Without further ado, also, last thing, I swear. If you would like to solve a puzzle while you listen to me read, exclamation point puzzle. Ta-da! I added the puzzle. I'll turn the lights off for now, and we'll continue reading. Okay, TikTok chat, don't set anything on fire. Behave now. We have guests. I don't remember where I was. Where was I? Okay. TikTok behaving? I know, right? Okay, I read that. He could even listen to Sir William Lucas when he complimented him on carrying away the brightest jewel of the country and expressed his hopes of their all meeting frequently at St. James, with very decent composure. If he did shrug his shoulders, it was not till Sir William was out of sight. Oh my gosh, oh my goodness, we have another raid. Oh my goodness, oh my gosh. What? Koibito Kitsune, welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. Hello, welcome raiders. I'm better practiced now. I'm sorry. I'm still trying to get my head on straight. There's so much happening. Okay, hi. Hi, raiders. If you don't know me, my name is Steph. I read books and stories. We are on the second to last chapter of Pride and Prejudice. Koibito, how was your stream? Are you also in ASMR? Do you do ASMR streams? I hope you had an amazing stream, and I hope everybody that joined over for the raid, I hope you all had a lovely time with them. And I hope you find that this place is nice and comfy. This is Sanctuary. So please... Oh, thank you so much for getting that shout out. I don't know who did that, but thank you. So please get yourself all wrapped up and cozy. If you'd like a fishy, send a message in Twitch chat. If you'd like to try some of the other commands, you can exclamation point lights to turn on and off the lights, exclamation point CAM to move the camera, and exclamation point head pats to give me head pats. David, thank you so much for the gifts on TikTok. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The support today has been incredible. And Koibito, if you have to step away to get some water or get some food, please take care of yourself. But I do hope that you enjoy listening along to the story as I read. Thank you again. Mrs. Phillips' vulgarity was another, and perhaps a greater, tax on his forbearance. And though Mrs. Phillips, as well as her sister, stood in too much awe of him to speak with a familiarity which Bingley's good humour encouraged, yet, whenever she did speak, she must be vulgar. Nor was her respect for him, though it made her more quiet, at all likely to make her more elegant. Elizabeth did all she could to shield him from the frequent notice of either, and was ever anxious to keep him to herself and to those of her family with whom he might converse without mortification. And though the uncomfortable feelings arising from all this took from the season of courtship much of its pleasure, it added to the hope of the future, and she hoped, and she looked forward with delight to the time when they should be removed from society so little pleasing to either, to all the comfort and elegance of their family party at Pemberley. And though the uncomfortable feelings arising from all this took from the season of courtship much of its pleasure, it added to the hopes of the future, and she looked forward with delight to a time when they should be removed from society so little pleasing to either, to all the comfort and elegance of their family party at Pemberley. Chapter 61. Happy for all her maternal feelings was the day on which Mrs. Bennet got rid of 2 of her most deserving daughters. With what delighted pride she afterwards visited Mrs. Bingley and talked of Mrs. Darcy may be guessed. I wish I could say, for the sake of her family, that the accomplishment of her earnest desire in the establishment of so many of her children produced so happy an effect as to make her a sensible, amiable, well-informed woman for the rest of her life. Though perhaps it was lucky for her husband, who might not have relished domestic felicity in so unusual a form, that she was still occasionally nervous and invariably silly. Mr. Bennet missed his second daughter exceedingly. His affection for her drew him oftener from home than anything else could. He delighted in going to Pemberley, especially when he was least expected. Mr. Bingley and Jane remained at Netherfield only a 12-month. So near a vicinity to her mother and Meryton relations was not desirable even to his easy temper or her affectionate heart. The darling wish of his sisters was then gratified. He bought an estate in a neighbouring county in Derbyshire, and Jane and Elizabeth, in addition to every other source of happiness, were there within 30 miles of each other. Kitty, to her very material advantage, spent the chief of her time with her 2 elder sisters, in society so superior to what she had generally known. Her improvement was great. She was not of so ungovernable a temper as Lydia, and removed from the influence of Lydia's example, she became, by proper attention and management, less irritable, less ignorant, and less insipid. From the further disadvantage of Lydia's society, she was, of course, carefully kept. And though Mrs. Wickham frequently invited her to come and stay with her, with the promise of balls and young men, her father would never consent to her going. Mary was the only daughter who remained at home, and she was necessarily drawn from the pursuit of accomplishments by Mrs. Bennet's being quite unable to sit alone. Mary was obliged to mix more with the world, and she could still moralize over every morning visit. And as she was no longer mortified by comparisons between her sister's beauty and her own, it was suspected by her father that she submitted to the change without much reluctance. As for Wickham and Lydia, their characters suffered no revolution from the marriage of her sisters. He bore with philosophy the conviction that Elizabeth must now become acquainted with whatever of his ingratitude and falsehood had been, before, unknown to her, and, in spite of everything, was not wholly without hope that Darcy might yet be prevailed on to make his fortune. The congratulatory letter which Elizabeth received from Lydia on her marriage explained to her that, by his wife at least, if not by himself, such a hope was cherished. The letter was to this effect:
My dear Lizzie, I wish you joy. If you love Mr. Darcy half as well as I do my dear Wickham, you must be very happy. It is a great comfort to have you so rich, and when you have nothing else to do, I hope you will think of us. I am sure Wickham would like a place at court very much, and I do not think we shall have quite money enough to live upon without some help. Any place would do, of about 300 or 400 a year, but, however, do not speak to Mr. Darcy about it if you had rather not. Yours, etc.
As it happened that Elizabeth had much rather not, she endeavoured in her answer to put an end to every entreaty and expectation of the kind. Such relief, however, as it was in her power to afford, by the practice of what might be called economy in her own private expenses, she frequently sent them. It had always been evident to her that such an income as theirs, under the direction of 2 persons so extravagant in their wants and heedless of the future, must be very insufficient to their support. And whenever they changed their quarters, either Jane or herself were sure of being applied to for some little assistance towards discharging their bills. Their manner of living, even when the restoration of peace dismissed them to a home, was unsettled in the extreme. They were always living from place to place in quest of a cheap situation, and always spending more than they ought. His affection for her soon sunk into indifference. Hers lasted a little longer, and in spite of her youth and her manners, she retained all the claims to reputation which her marriage had given her. Though Darcy could never receive him at Pimberley, yet, for Elizabeth's sake,
he assisted him further in his profession. Lydia was occasionally a visitor there when her husband was gone to enjoy himself in London or Bath. And with the Bingleys, they both of them frequently stayed so long that even Bingley's good humour was overcome, and he proceeded so far as to talk of giving them a hint to be gone. Miss Bingley was very deeply mortified by Darcy's marriage, but as she thought it advisable to retain the right of visiting at Pemberley, she dropped all her resentment, was fonder than ever of Georgiana, almost as attentive to Darcy as heretofore, and paid off every arrear of civility to Elizabeth. Pemberley was now Georgiana's home, and the attachment of the sisters was exactly what Darcy had hoped to see. They were able to love each other even as well as they intended. Georgiana had the highest opinion in the world of Elizabeth, though at first she often listened with an astonishment bordering on alarm at her lively, sportive manner of talking to her brother. He, who had always inspired in herself a respect which almost overcame her affection, she now saw the object of open pleasantry. Her mind received knowledge which had never before fallen in her way. By Elizabeth's instructions, she began to comprehend that a woman may take liberties with her husband, which a brother will not always allow in a sister more than 10 years younger than himself. Lady Catherine was extremely indignant on the marriage of her nephew, and as she gave way to all the genuine frankness of her character in her reply to the letter which announced its arrangement, she sent him language so very abusive, especially of Elizabeth, that for some time all intercourse was at an end. But at length, by Elizabeth's persuasion, he was prevailed on to overlook the offence and seek a reconciliation. And, after a little further resistance on the part of his aunt, her resentment gave way, either to her affection for him or her curiosity to see how his wife conducted herself, and she condescended to wait on them at Pemberley, in spite of that pollution which its woods had received, not merely from the presence of such a mistress, but the visits of her uncle and aunt from the city. With the Gardiners, they were always on the most intimate terms. Darcy, as well as Elizabeth, really loved them, and they were both ever sensible of the warmest gratitude towards the persons who, by bringing her into Derbyshire, had been the means of uniting them. The end. We did it, chat. We did it. And that was the end of Pride and Prejudice. I love your voice. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it, and I hope you're enjoying stream as well.
Yay. Post your like excited or your cheers emojis. Like, I mean, I'm surprised. I really thought that it would take a lot longer for us to finish Pride and Prejudice. The next book that we will read is The Lightning Thief. However, before we transition, am I late? A little bit. And in an accent, yes. And in an accent. I read all of Pride and Prejudice in a British accent. I don't know if you can really say British, but you know, it was close enough. 19th century England. Before we continue and transition and whatnot, please celebrate. But I have to go to the bathroom, so I'll be right back. I swear, I'll be back. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I'll hold your hand. But I'll be back. I love the VA. I love you. Okay, sorry. I'm scared? Why are you scared? Don't be scared. Now lightning thief in a Greek accent? You're kidding me, right? I don't think I can do Greek. What does Greek even sound like? We know what the British sound like because they're as British as it gets. Oh my goodness. Okay. Community bonding. Why does it say sub by my name? It says that you're a member. I don't know. I don't know. I think that just means that you're in my fan club, Zaw. Okay. Apologies. I am everywhere. Okay. Scary fishies. Why are they scary? They shouldn't be scary. Greek sounds like war and pheromones? Huh? Hi, Kalu. Look at them watching. Oh, you guys want to get closer? You want to get even closer to them? We can get closer. This is the opposite of closer. What the hell? This is closer. See? Let's take a look at them. If you didn't know. Sorry, I have to remember to be calm and quiet. If you didn't know, you can actually have more than one fishy if you send a message on Twitch chat and on YouTube Live, horizontal, not shorts, not vertical, the horizontal view of YouTube, you can actually get another fishy. So if you would like
another pair of eyeballs in the background. Let me double check which chat that is. Let's see. Do we have Dova? Whichever one says Dova 2, that's the chat that you want. Steph, you may need to add more or higher the goal for ASMR. During the marathon stream, we're at 50%. Honestly, if we're at 50% so far, that is great. Okay. I put the link in Twitch chat. If you would like to get another fishy, you just add a message to that chat. Stale bread wants another fish. Well, you already have one fish. You get another fish. I kind of like being... What did I just see in TikTok chat? What did my eyeballs just witness? I kind of... And I quote, Za Redemption. I kind of like being more aggressive than submissive in the octagon. Huh? I've never used YouTube Live ever.
Stop it. Get some help.
Stop it. Get some help. I know what UFC is, but still. Do you speak Espanol or Nihongo? English. Espanol. Nihongo. Dorsht. Paruski. Hi, Jalzik. Erishkiga? Is that how to say your name? Ultimate fancy cuddling. Yes, Luke. That's exactly what that means. So many languages. Я знаю немного по-русски. Я не знаю по-английски. Ты знаешь по-английски? Ты знаешь по-русски? Nihongo hanashimasu ka? So we can see we got two shattereds. There's two shattereds right next to each other. We've got a young waffle. We've got a moya dongon. Yeah? A Milo. Uh-oh. Somebody did the camera. Someone did the camera command. No, you took my powers away. How could you? I can't believe you've done this. I love memes. Zoom. Am I the only one wearing headphones? Because her voice is serenading me. Oh, it was Tsunami Bud. Oh. J'aimerais pas polsku. Polish? Is that Polish? I thought you were trying to write Russian. Playing Cyberpunk while listening to this is perfection? Really, I've never played that. Hi, Anxiety. Hi, Akira. It was a good slow-mo shot of Steph coming past the camera. Hey! Teach me Russian. I used to have a command on stream, not command, channel point redemption, that I would teach chat some Russian. However, when the Russian-Ukrainian war started, I decided to remove that channel point. But anyway, I'm trying to look for where I can begin reading The Lightning Thief. It was Polish, not Russian. They can be similar. Yeah, the Duolingo redemption is still there. Yes, it is. Anyway, Steph, I came in to say hi and bye. Had a hectic day. Aw, Za. It's not often that we get your company. Crush my head with thighs. Hello. Welcome back. It's good to see you again. Good morning, Akira. Instead of niet, it's ni. Ah. Well, guys, it sounds like I'm learning Polish next. I really want to learn Swedish. All right. Shattered. No, that's the person's username. Hi, Karsten. Okay, so The Lightning Thief. I don't really have to say the full title, do I? Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I don't have to, right? I know how to order tea in Italian. Hey, that's more than I do. Just not over text. I know how to request tea. You want to learn Hindi? I would love to learn some Hindi. I know how to request for tea in Russian. Принесите мне чашку чая, пожалуйста. Also, anxiety redeemed in uwu. If you would not like to hear me say uwu, then mute your stream for like 2 seconds. There you go. This is what you wanted. This is what you got. Jelzik Automod says, message held for reason, race, ethnicity, or religion. I don't think Automod understands that you're talking about the language. I'll say it again, alright? Принесите мне чашку чая, пожалуйста. Say something, I'll translate it to Hindi. I have a cat. Why does your Russian voice sound so good? Because I've practiced it a lot. I will try my best to stay longer in the next one. No problem, Za. I hope that we get to see you next time, okay? Please take care of yourself. Practice makes perfect. Well, hey, I did get quite a few compliments from my Russian professor that I had done a really good job of perfecting my accent. Now, given at the time that I was told this, we were in Russia, so it's easier to perfect your words when you are in the place in which you learned it. I did also study by myself for like 9 months up to that point. Merapas ek bilihen. I probably should learn how to pronounce things. Why can I get a pet name? Why can't I get a pet name? Why can't you? Do you want a pet name? Aw, thank you for the kisses. You were in Russia with classmates? Did one of them introduce himself to the Russian mafia as Yamashina? No, he didn't. That guy is probably like 40 years older than me. No, that's probably gross overestimation. He's probably like 30 years older than me. Yep, you should. Yes. Akira, I will try to learn for you.
I will do it. Bert Kreschner. Krescher? Krescher. You know, when I do my traditional ASMR stream, how young are you? Well... That was a big gulp. I am so sorry. Mam kota for Polish. How young are you? 24. It's in my about. Aptbot Hub Surato. Gulping noises intense. Who wants me to read The Lightning Thief? I am not going to crash out over people calling me old just because I am immortal does not mean I am old. What's it about? I have no idea. How young sounds way better than asking how old you are. You are 24. It means you are beautiful. Thank you. Abspoets Kubsorato. I am gonna learn. I'm 67. That's old. That's just 67 years of survival. Okay. I need a description of this book. I have no idea what I'm getting myself into, by the way. Description of The Lightning Thief. Have a good night, Khalil. Exclamation point good night for our fishies that have to leave. Here, let me open my library app. Libby. Are you sure, Fence? It's never too late to listen to a nice, calming story. It's 5:40 a.m. Oh my goodness, Akira. That's so late. Okay, I have a description of The Lightning Thief. Hi, Adrian. 12-year-old Percy Jackson discovers he is the son of Poseidon in the opener to the hilarious, fast-paced adventure fantasy series. Percy Jackson is about to be kicked out of boarding school again. He can't seem to stay out of trouble. Is he supposed to stand by while a bully picks on his scrawny best friend? Or not defend himself when his teacher turns into a monster and tries to kill him? Mythical creatures seem to be walking straight out of the pages of Percy's Greek mythology textbook and into his life. What's worse, he's angered a few of them. Zeus's master lightning bolt has been stolen, and Percy is the prime suspect. Percy and his friends Grover the I can't... What the hell is this word? Already? And we're just in the description of the book. Satyr? Thank you! Thank you! Grover the Satyr and Annabeth, the demigod daughter of Athena, must find and return Zeus's stolen property and bring peace to a warring Mount Olympus. They travel cross-country to the gates of the underworld in Los Angeles, facing a host of enemies determined to stop them. I will let you forget me. Akira, I don't think I can. My boyfriend just said Uno reverse is something I said. What do I say back? Option A, cry. Option B, so you don't love me. Option C, draw 2. Option D, skip your next turn. If I say B, you will agree. Oh, we're being too... Guys, we're being too loud. People are sleeping. I can't laugh. People are sleeping. If they wake up, they'll leave. And we want them to stay asleep. Okay? Do you guys think that we should do an entire whispering stream? I can arrange for that. Here, I can just do this. You say no mercy and slap him on the back as hard as you can. Why would you do that? Do you like when I breathe in your ear? He's actually right here, so I could. Please do not hit that poor man. It feels like we're in a horror ASMR. Why? Okay, Jelzik does not like this. Okay. Who's ready to start the lightning thief? What did I miss? Absolutely not. Nothing. You definitely didn't miss anything. Why is the camera move away from fish? Do a ASMR video for YouTube for real? Actually, Jackson, I am thinking that if you guys manage to hit the channel point challenge, we will do ASMR for my marathon stream for my birthday next month. I'm gonna do a marathon stream. Oh, sorry, my eyeball itches. Uno brings out the worst in people. You know what else does? Lack of sleep. That does too. Ooh, no, I'll raise you happy early birthday for when I miss it. Well, thank you. My birthday's 9/11. I might stream. I will probably stream that day. Don't worry, no one can forget my birthday. Have a good night, Akira. I hope you sleep well. My birthday was 2 days ago. Well, happy belated birthday. Happy belated birthday. I hope that it was a good day. Let's read Lightning Thief. The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. One. I accidentally vaporized my pre-algebra teacher. Look, I didn't want to be a half-blood. If you're reading this because you think you might be one, my advice is close this book right now. Believe whatever lie your mom or dad told you about your birth, and try to lead a normal life. Being a half-blood is dangerous. It's scary. Most of the time, it gets you killed in painful, nasty ways. If you're a normal kid reading this because you think it's fiction, great. Read on. I envy you for being able to believe that none of this ever happened. But if you recognize yourself in these pages, if you feel something stirring inside, stop reading immediately. You might be one of us. And once you know that, it's only a matter of time before they sense it too. And they'll come for you. Don't say I didn't warn you. My name is Percy Jackson. I'm 12 years old. Until a few months ago, I was a boarding student at Yancey Academy, a private school for troubled kids in upstate New York. Am I a troubled kid? Yeah, you could say that. I could start at any point in my short, miserable life to prove it, but things really started going bad last May when our 6th grade class took a field trip to Manhattan. 28 mental case kids and 2 teachers on a yellow school bus heading to the Metropolitan Museum of Art to look at ancient Greek and Roman stuff. I know, it sounds like torture. Most Yancey field trips were. But Mr. Brunner, our Latin teacher, was leading this trip, so I had hopes. Mr. Brunner was this middle-aged guy in a motorized wheelchair. He had thinning hair and a scruffy beard and a frayed tweed jacket, which always smelled like coffee. You wouldn't think he'd be cool, but he told stories and jokes and let us play games in class. He also had this awesome collection of Roman armor and weapons, so he was the only teacher whose class didn't put me to sleep. I hoped the trip would be okay. At least, I hoped that for once I wouldn't get into trouble. Boy, was I wrong. See, bad things happen to me on field trips. Like at my 5th grade school, when we went to Saratoga Battlefield, I had this accident with the Revolutionary War cannon. I wasn't aiming for the school bus, but of course I got expelled anyway. And before that, at my 4th grade school, when we took a behind-the-scenes tour of the Marine World Shark Pool, I sorta hit the wrong lever on the catwalk and our class took an unplanned swim. And the time before that, well, you get the idea. This trip, I was determined to be good. All the way into the city, I put up with Nancy Bobofit, the freckly red-headed kleptomaniac girl, hitting my best friend Grover in the back of the head with chunks of peanut butter and ketchup sandwich. Grover was an easy target. He was scrawny. He cried when he got frustrated. He must have been held back several grades, because he was the only 6th grader with acne and the start of a wispy beard on his chin. On top of all that, he was crippled. He had a note excusing him from PE for the rest of his life because he had some kind of muscular disease in his legs. He walked funny, like every step hurt him, but don't let that fool you. You should have seen him run when it was enchilada day in the cafeteria. Anyway, Nancy Bobofit was
throwing wads of sandwich that stuck in his curly brown hair. And she knew I couldn't do anything back to her because I was already on probation. The headmaster had threatened me with death by in-school suspension if anything bad, embarrassing, or even mildly entertaining happened on this trip. I'm gonna kill her, I mumbled. Grover tried to calm me down. It's okay. I like peanut butter. He dodged another piece of Nancy's lunch. That's it. I started to get up, but Grover pulled me back to my seat. You're already on probation, he reminded me. You know who'll get blamed if anything happens. Looking back on it, I wish I'd decked Nancy Beaufort right then and there. In-school suspension would have been nothing compared to the mess I was about to get myself into. Mr. Brunner led the museum tour. A brief pause. Give me one moment. I have some things that I have to do. I need to change the title of stream. I don't want to forget that. Copy. Paste. Excuse me. Okay. While I'm doing this, just a reminder to our beautiful fishies that if you have suggestions and or recommendations for what you would like to see in my birthday marathon stream, again, I don't know when it will happen, and I don't know what all is planned yet. But if you have some ideas that you would love to see or things that you would love to do, please do let me know, and I can take those into consideration. And thank you so much to everybody who's still watching on Twitch or lurking in the background. Each day, I hope that we get one step closer to reaching partner. And if you didn't know that we're trying to get to partner on Twitch, partner on Twitch means having 75 average viewers. So just letting you know that that is currently a goal that we have set. He rode up front in his wheelchair, guiding us through the big echoey galleries, past marble statues and glass cases full of really old black and orange pottery. It blew my mind that this stuff had survived for 2,000, 3,000 years. He gathered us around a 13-foot tall stone column with a big sphinx on the top and started telling us how it was a grave marker, a stela, for a girl about our age. He told us about the carvings on the sides. I was trying to listen to what he had to say because it was kind of interesting. But everybody around me was talking, and every time I told them to shut up, the other teacher chaperone, Mrs. Dodds, would give me the evil eye. Mrs. Dodds was this little math teacher from Georgia who always wore a black leather jacket even though she was 50 years old. She looked mean enough to ride a Harley right into your locker. She had come to Yancey halfway through the year when our last math teacher had a nervous breakdown. From her first day, Mrs. Dodds loved Nancy Bobofit and figured I was the devil spawn. She would point her crooked finger at me and say, "Now, honey." Real sweet. And I knew I was going to get after-school detention for a month. One time, after she'd made me erase answers out of old math workbooks until midnight, I told Grover I didn't think Mrs. Dodds was human. He looked at me real serious and said, "You're absolutely right." Mr. Brunner kept talking about Greek funeral art. Finally, Nancy Bobofit snickered something about the naked guy on the stela, and I turned around and said, "Will you shut up?" It came out a lot louder than I meant it to. The whole group laughed. Mr. Brunner stopped his story. "Mr. Jackson," he said, "do you have a comment?" My face was totally red. I said, "No, sir." Mr. Brunner pointed to one of the pictures on the stela. "Perhaps you'll tell us what this picture represents." I looked at the carving and felt a flush of relief because I actually recognized it. That's Kronos eating his kids, right? "Yes," Brunner said, obviously not satisfied. "And he did this because..." Well, I racked my brain to remember. Kronos was the king god, and... God? Mr. Brunner asked. "Titan," I corrected myself. "And he didn't trust his kids, who were the gods. So, Kronos ate them, right? But his wife hid baby Zeus and gave Kronos a rock to eat instead. And later when Zeus grew up, he tricked his dad, Kronos, into barfing up his brothers and sisters."
Ew,
said one of the girls behind me. "And so there was this big fight between the gods and the Titans," I continued. "And the gods won." Some snickers from the group. Behind me, Nancy Bobofit mumbled to a friend.
"Like we're going to use this in real life. Like it's going to say on our job applications, please explain why Kronos ate his kids."
"And why, Mr. Jackson?" Brunner said. "To paraphrase Miss Bobofit's excellent question, does this matter in real life?"
"Busted," Grover muttered.
"Shut up," Nancy hissed, her face even brighter red than her hair. At least Nancy got packed too. Mr. Brunner was the only one who ever caught her saying anything wrong. He had radar ears. I thought about his question and shrugged. "I don't know, sir." I see.
Mr. Brunner looked disappointed.
Well, half credit, Mr. Jackson. Zeus did indeed feed Kronos a mixture of mustard and wine, which made him disgorge his other 5 children who, of course, being immortal gods, had been living and growing up completely undigested in the Titan's stomach. The gods defeated their father, sliced him to pieces with his own scythe, and scattered his remains in Tartarus, the darkest part of the underworld. On that happy note, it's time for lunch. Mrs. Dodds, would you lead us back outside?
The class drifted off, the girls holding their stomachs, the guys pushing each other around and acting like doofuses. Grover and I were about to follow when Mr. Brunner said, "Mr. Jackson." I knew that was coming. I told Grover to keep going, and then I turned toward Mr. Brunner. "Sir?" Mr. Brunner had this look that wouldn't let you go. Intense brown eyes that could have been 1,000 years old and had seen everything.
You must learn the answer to my question,
Mr. Brunner told me. About the Titans?
About real life, and how your studies apply to it.
Oh.
What you learn from me, he said, is vitally important. I expect you to treat it as such. I will accept only the best from you, Percy Jackson.
I wanted to get angry. This guy pushed me so hard. I mean, sure, it was kind of cool on tournament days when he dressed up in a suit of Roman armor and shouted, "What ho!" and challenged us sword point against chalk to run to the board and name every Greek and Roman person who had ever lived and their mother and what god they worshipped. But Mr. Brunner expected me to be as good as everybody else, despite the fact that I have dyslexia and attention deficit disorder, and I had never made above a C- in my life. No, he didn't expect me to be as good. He expected me to be better. And I just couldn't learn all those names and facts, much less spell them correctly. I mumbled something about trying harder, while Mr. Brunner took one long, sad look at the Stella, like he'd been at this girl's funeral. He told me to go outside and eat my lunch. The class gathered on the front steps of the museum, where we could watch the foot traffic along 5th Avenue. Overhead, a huge storm was brewing, with clouds blacker than I'd ever seen over the city. I figured maybe it was global warming or something, because the weather all across New York State had been weird since Christmas. We'd had massive snowstorms, flooding, wildfires from lightning strikes. I wouldn't have been surprised if this was a hurricane blowing in. Nobody else seemed to notice. Some of the guys were pelting pigeons with Lunchable crackers. Nancy Bobofit was trying to pickpocket something from a lady's purse. And, of course, Mrs. Dodds wasn't saying a thing. Grover and I sat on the edge of the fountain, away from the others. We thought that maybe if we did that, everybody wouldn't know we were from that school. The school for loser freaks who couldn't make it elsewhere. "Detention?" Grover asked. "Nah," I said. "Not from Brunner. I just wish he'd lay off me sometimes. I mean, I'm not a genius." Grover didn't say anything for a while. Then, when I thought he was going to give me some deep philosophical comment to make me better, he said, "Can I have your apple?" I didn't have much of an appetite, so I let him take it. I watched the stream of cabs going down 5th Avenue and thought about my mom's apartment, only a little ways uptown from where we sat. I hadn't seen her since Christmas.
I wanted so bad to jump in a taxi and head home. She'd hug me and be glad to see me. But she'd be disappointed too. She'd send me right back to Yancey, remind me that I had to try harder, even if this was my 6th school in 6 years and I was probably going to get kicked out again. I wouldn't be able to stand that sad look she'd give me. Mr. Brunner parked his wheelchair at the base of the handicap ramp. He ate celery while he read a paperback novel. A red umbrella stuck up from the back of his chair, making it look like a motorized cafe table. I was about to unwrap my sandwich when Nancy Bobofit appeared in front of me with her ugly friends. I guess she'd gotten tired of stealing from the tourists and dumped her half-eaten lunch in Grover's lap.
Oops.
She grinned at me with her crooked teeth. Her freckles were orange, as if somebody had spray-painted her face with liquid Cheetos. I tried to stay cool. The school counselor had told me 1,000,000 times, count to 10, get control of your temper. But I was so mad, my mind went blank. A wave roared in my ears. I don't remember touching her, but the next thing I knew, Nancy was sitting on her butt in the fountain, screaming,
"Percy pushed me!"
Mrs. Dodds materialized next to us. Some of the kids were whispering,
"Did you see? The water, like it grabbed her."
I didn't know what they were talking about. All I knew was that I was in trouble again. As soon as Mrs. Dodds was sure little poor Nancy was okay, promising to get her a new shirt at the museum gift shop, etc., Mrs. Dodds turned on me. There was a triumphant fire in her eyes, as if I'd done something she'd been waiting for all semester.
"Now, honey."
"I know," I grumbled. "A month erasing workboards." That wasn't the right thing to say.
"Come with me,"
Mrs. Dodds said.
"Wait," Grover yelped. "It was me. I pushed her."
I stared at him, stunned. I couldn't believe he was trying to cover for me. Mrs. Dodds scared Grover to death. She glared at him so hard his whiskery chin trembled. "I don't think so, Mr. Underworld," she said. "But you will stay here." Grover looked at me desperately. "It's okay, man. Thanks for trying."
"Honey,"
Mrs. Dodds barked at me.
"Now."
Nancy Bobofit smirked. I gave her my deluxe I'll kill you later stare. Then I turned to face Mrs. Dodds. But she wasn't there. She was standing at the museum entrance, way at the top of the steps, gesturing impatiently at me to come on. How'd she get there so fast? I have moments like that a lot, when my brain falls asleep or something, and the next thing I know, I've missed something, as if a puzzle piece fell out of place, out of the universe, and left me staring at a blank place behind it. The school counselor told me this was part of the ADHD, my brain misinterpreting things. I wasn't so sure. I went after Mrs. Dodds. Halfway up the steps, I glanced back at Grover. He was looking pale, cutting his eyes between me and Mr. Brunner, like he wanted Mr. Brunner to notice what was going on. But Mr. Brunner was absorbed in his novel. I looked back up. Mrs. Dodds had disappeared again. She was now inside the building at the end of the entrance hall. Okay, I thought. she's going to make me buy a new shirt for Nancy at the gift shop. But apparently, that wasn't the plan. I followed her deeper into the museum. When I finally caught up to her, we were back in the Greek and Roman section. Except for us, the gallery was empty. Mrs. Dodds stood with her arms crossed in front of a big marble frieze of the gods, the Greek gods. She was making this weird noise in her throat, like growling. Even without the noise, I would have been nervous. It's weird being alone with a teacher, especially Miss Dodds. Something about the way she looked at the frieze. As if she wanted to pulverize it. "You've been giving us problems, honey," she said. I did the safe thing. I said, "Yes, ma'am." She tugged on the cuffs of her leather jacket. "Did you really think you would get away with it?" The look in her eyes was beyond mad. It was evil. "She's a teacher," I thought nervously. "It's not like she's going to hurt me." I said, I'll try harder, ma'am." Thunder shook the building. "We are not fools, Percy Jackson," Mrs. Dodds said. "It was only a matter of time before we found you out. Confess. You will suffer less pain." I didn't know what she was talking about. All I could think of was that the teachers must have found the illegal stash of candy I'd been selling out of my dorm room. Or maybe they'd realized I got my essay on Tom Sawyer from the internet without ever reading the book, and now they were going to take away my grade? Or worse, they were going to make me read the book. "Well?" she demanded. "Ma'am, I don't..." "Your time is up," she hissed. Then the weirdest thing happened. Her eyes began to glow like barbecue coals. Her fingers stretched, turning into talons. Her jacket melted into large, leathery wings. She wasn't human. She was a shriveled hag with bat wings and claws and a mouth full of yellow fangs. And she was about to slice me to ribbons. Then things got even stranger. Mr. Brunner, who'd been out in front of the museum a minute before, wheeled his chair into the doorway of the gallery holding a pen in his hand. "Whoa, Percy!" he shouted and tossed the pen through the air. Mrs. Dodds lunged at me. With a yelp, I dodged and felt talons slash the air next to my ear. I snatched the ballpoint pen out of the air, and when it hit my hand, it wasn't a pen anymore. It was a sword. Mr. Brunner's bronze sword, which he always used on tournament day. Mrs. Dodds spun toward me with a murderous look in her eyes. My knees were jelly. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the sword. She snarled, "Die, honey!" And she flew straight at me. Absolute terror ran through my body. I did the only thing that came naturally. I swung the sword. The metal blade hit her shoulder and passed clean through her body as if she were made of water. Mrs. Dodds was a sandcastle and a power fan. She exploded into yellow powder, vaporized on the spot, leaving nothing but the smell of sulfur and a dying screech and a chill of evil in the air, as if those two glowing red eyes were still watching me. I was alone. There was a ballpoint pen in my hand. Mr. Brunner wasn't there. Nobody was there but me. My hands were trembling. My lunch must have been contaminated with magic mushrooms or something. Had I imagined the whole thing? I went back outside. It started to rain. Grover was sitting by the fountain, a museum map tented over his head. Nancy Bobofit was still standing there, soaked from her swim in the fountain, grumbling to her ugly friends. When she saw me, she said,
"I hope Mrs. Kerr whipped your butt."
I said, "Who?"
"Our teacher? Duh."
I blinked. We had no teacher named Mrs. Kerr. I asked Nancy what she was talking about. She just rolled her eyes and turned away. I asked Grover where Mrs. Dodds was. He said, "Who?" But he paused first, and he wouldn't look at me, so I thought he was messing with me. "Not funny, man," I told him. "This is serious." Thunder boomed overhead. I saw Mr. Brunner sitting under his red umbrella, reading his book, as if he'd never moved. I went over to him. He looked up, a little distracted. "Ah, that would be my pen. Please bring your own writing utensil in the future, Mr. Jackson." I handed Mr. Brunner his pen. I hadn't even realized I was still holding it. "Sir," I said, "where's Mrs. Dodds?" He stared at me blankly. "Who?" "The other chaperone, Mrs. Dodds, the pre-algebra teacher." He frowned and sat forward, looking mildly concerned. "Percy, there is no Mrs. Dodds on this trip. As far as I know, there's never been a Mrs. Dodds at Yancey Academy. Are you feeling all right?" Well. That puzzle was evil? Oh, okay. Then I will try to not have that specific puzzle again. I just clicked a random one because I was like, oh my god, you guys finished the puzzle already. I gotta give you a puzzle. You know? I'll try to remember. You're confused? You're confused too? I'm confused? Everyone's confused? Also, I have not been keeping an eye on the time. I didn't realize that we've been streaming for almost 3 hours. I have to go. I have to go to sleep. It's bedtime. It's bedtime, fishies. So what do you say? Let's take a selfie.
But first, let me take a selfie. All right, my cutiests. Only the cutest get to be in this photo. So you better pose. There we go. I'm not gonna get everyone's names perfectly in the picture, okay? But I'll try. There we go. Okay. Are you guys ready for the photo? You do selfies? Yes. Because we're pushing for partner right now. I will take a selfie of me and all of our beautiful fishies at the end of stream to celebrate
to celebrate our progress on our path to partner and share with everyone how, like really, you can't tell me that seeing more and more fishies up there is not super awesome. So if you don't have a fishy, this is your opportunity to get a fish in the background. All you have to do is send a message in Twitch chat or YouTube chat if you want 2 fishies. What do you need for partner? We need to average 75 viewers over 30 days. I've been told that there are some other circumstances that we have to meet as well, but for now, what I can tell you guys is 75 viewers average. You can also !partner or !keepy. More fish is always an improvement. Yes. More fishies is desirable. Okay, if you're ready for the selfie, say cheese. Look at all of you. Aw, you all look so cute. And then there's me. But you all look so cute. Oh, that is such a good photo. I love that. Also, hi, I just found your channel by chance. I love the vibes. Oh, I'm so happy that you found us, and I hope that you come back and enjoy some more. Double Samuel? Yes. There we go. Everyone gets a fishy. Let's see. Thank you for giving some love to the mods. So you can get multiple fishies if you get if you send a message on Twitch and if you send a message on YouTube Live, you get 2 fishies. Let's see. We have, I think we rated this person. We have not rated this person yet, but I'm following them and they're live, so we should raid them. Okay, my dearest fishies, if you'd like to listen to more of my reading, I will be back again tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time Zone, and we will continue reading The Lightning Thief. I might even start over just because I lost track of time. Normally, I try to keep the readings like as long as I can. So the fact that I only read 1 chapter kind of doesn't sit well with me. Like, I want, if you were to look at my YouTube channel, highly encourage you to do so. We still need another, I think, 350 watch hours to get tier 2 partner and another 150 subscribers if you haven't subscribed yet. I try to keep the edited YouTube videos to be over an hour long if I can. I prefer to make the YouTube videos longer than shorter. So I'm not sure if I want to keep The Lightning Thief Chapter 1 as its own video, or if I'll restart tomorrow and make that, you know, like a 2-hour stream, a 2-hour video. But anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. This is the part where we say our good nights, our goodbyes, and our see you tomorrows. I am so incredibly grateful for all of the support that has come out today. Special thank you to Moonlight Faye and to Koibito Kitsune for the raids. If you have not gotten a chance to follow them, please do. We are going to raid, if you are watching on Twitch, we are going to raid out to Izashi Black. They are doing 3DO ASMR. They are 18 plus, so if you are under 18, unfortunately, you cannot stay in their stream. Otherwise, you were sent from Faye. Well, thank you. Thank you, Brad, so much for spending tonight with us and hanging out with us. I hope that we will get to see you again. If you are not watching on Twitch, I highly recommend that you jump over to the Twitch, get the Discord link on Twitch. It is only available on Twitch. Get the Discord link, join the Discord server. You will get notified every time I go live or when I post a YouTube video. Highly encourage checking those out as well. We are going to raid out on Twitch. If you are not on Twitch, the stream is just going to end for you. But again, I will be back again tomorrow night. How do I get the Discord? Exclamation. Well, there you go. The bot auto responded. Sometimes it does that, sometimes it doesn't. But until then, please drink water, eat your food, be kind to yourself and others, hug your loved ones, your friends, your pets, because life is a fragile thing, and we are grateful for everything we have and every day. And have a good night. I'm trying to raid, but it seems as though it is not working, so we are not going to raid who I wanted to raid. Not sure why it's not working, but we're gonna go hang out with Moog. We've been to Moog before. We hang out with Moog. Moog is awesome. They are reading r/no sleep.